is looking back is, I hope senators are listening, is people lie in the Senate and House hearings. For me, as an ordinary citizen, a taxpayer, that's what alarms me. You go under oath and you completely lie in the Senate.
Yes. And they might have various motives. It's difficult to really be calling out these senators. Yeah. But of course, syempre masama ang loob ko dyan na they also allowed themselves to be used during that time, as everybody was simply scared of Mr. Duterte. So nagpagamit yung mga institusyon natin, both the Senate and the House of Representatives. You all saw also that kangaroo hearing before the House of Representatives when the PDL inmates were also presented there with all of their lies, and then including the misogynistic attacks against me. Misogyny at its worst. So they allow themselves to be used. Now, individually, the senators, I cannot speak for themselves. I would not know their respective motivations. I would not know whether indeed they believed those witnesses at the time, or whether or not, that's a clear, in fact, if you also recall those proceedings before the Senate, then Senator Sonny Trillanes defended me, and he also questioned sila Mr. Espinosa, and he was saying that, alam nyo, ngayon, pwede kayo magsinungaling, nandyan pa si Duterte, but if there's an administration change in administration, hindi nyo ba iniisip yan na pwede kayong balikan sa mga kasinungalingan niya? Those were the statements of Sen. Sonny Trillanes, because Sen. Sonny Trillanes knew very well also that these were all fabrication. Now, I couldn't say about my then fellow senators. They would have been more discerning enough, and more intelligent enough, and more conscientious enough to discern that their colleague was being persecuted. Yeah. Their colleague was being unjustly targeted by Mr. Duterte.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, but before we go on to the other testimony, is Kerwin Espinosa's statements at that point before retraction were used to persecute you, but he did not serve as a witness on record on your 3 drug cases. Why do you think is that, looking back?
Maybe the prosecutors in my 3 cases already knew or already sensed that they would have an uncooperative witness, meaning that at a proper time in the course of his testimony before the courts and the witness stand, there is a high probability that he would be taking back his words.
And he did.
Now, and he did. Yeah. And then, maybe nakita na nila yon, na he could not be relied on. But then DOJ was also under, sort of compulsion, especially under a Duterte guy, a loyalist, Secretary Aguirre, to really build up those cases, even if these are really weak cases, because the very credibility of their principal witnesses are in question. Isa pa nga yan, Karen, yung sinasabi ngayon ni Senator Bato. Maniniwala ba kayo dyan na drug lord yan? Hindi lang yan alleged drug lord, kundi totoong drug lord. Sino bang paniniwalaan nyo? Siya o ako? We can always return the question to him. Yeah. Why on earth did you use him in the first place in 2016? In the same manner that they also used those PDL witnesses. Yeah. These are also drug lords. These were convicted of heinous crimes. And we've been saying all along that their credibility is almost zero. So why use them? So binabalikan na talaga sa kanila yung mga yan eh. How can they explain that? And besides, in the case of Kerwin Espinosa, so they would say, and some people would also say, so let's see now. Let's weigh things up. Na paniniwala ba talaga tayo? Kailangan naman corroborative dyan kay Kerwin. Kasi, the general rule under jurisprudence is that recantation is frowned upon. You don't easily believe recantation, but it doesn't mean that you will no longer listen to the recantation. It doesn't mean that the courts or whichever forum would no longer look at the entire circumstances. You say, Kerwin already said in his latest testimony that he was coerced, so under duress. Now, That's the proof that he was under duress. That's his personal knowledge. Now, in his recantation, is there any proof that can also indicate that he is now also being coerced, or that he was paid, or what,
Yes.
or promised anything in exchange for his recantation? There is absolutely none. There is no indication at all, because the atmosphere is such, you cannot think naman that the BBM administration has coerced him when it was him who, if I understood it correctly, he was the one who offered to the Quadcom committee na meron din siyang pwedeng sabihin, especially in light of the questionable summary killing of his father. Right? So, ano yan eh, common sense.
Okay. So, kumbaga, this is the domino effect of the several
Yes.
testimonies. All right. Now, let's now go to retired Police Colonel Regina Garma. When she claimed that former President Duterte ordered the police to actually do or mimic the Davao model, that system of rewarding police officers to kill drug suspects. Okay. Now, when you were Commission on Human Rights Chair, you were already investigating this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
when you heard her testify, you said it was perfect. You used that word. Let's talk about that. Why did you say it was a perfect testimony?
I'm not really saying, when I say perfect testimony, in one sense, it was. Because it also again validated what we've been saying all along, that this drug war killings, it started in 2016, was just a replication, a continuation on a national level of the DDS killings, which we investigated in 2009. And even the reward system, it came out already from the affidavits of Arturo Las Cañas and of Edgar Matubato. Kasi, and then, yung sinasabi ngayon ni Colonel Garma, former Colonel Garma, that a sort of a special task force was created na, yung system of the financing of these operations, the financing of every kill was made. Again, nasabi na rin yung dati nila Mr. Las Cañas na sila yung mga police, sila yung mga right hand noon, si Las Cañas and si Sonny Benaventura.
Yeah.
Under the DDS machinery, sila yung right hand. Sila yung, linagay sila dun sa what was called as the heinous crime section of the Davao City Police Office. Sila yung mga linagay dun. And their main task is really summary killings of suspects. And May, Mr. Las Cañas confirmed that there was payment for every kill. So the drug war killings are indeed a replication. It was indeed, it actually used the Davao model. So another validation of what we've been saying all along. The only difference now, as I can see it, Karen, is that nung iniimbestigahan namin yung DDS, and even nung simulan ko rin yung investigation in the Senate for the drug war killings before I was ousted as the Senate Committee Chair, the name of I don't remember that the name of the Senator Bongo cropped up. Now sa DDS, wala kaming narinig tungkol dyan. I think the simple explanation there was because Sonny Benaventura and Arturo Las Cañas were reporting directly to Mr. Duterte, to then Mayor Duterte. Ngayon sa national drug war killings, it cannot be expected that each and every kill, each and every operations will be cleared personally with then President Duterte. Unlike yung nasa DDS, ang pakiwari namin is that nakiklear sa kanya because it's a smaller territory, it's a smaller group, it's a smaller jurisdiction, unlike in the national scale. So it was enough that there was a core group, a special task force reporting or coursing through directly Senator Bato, then the special assistant to the president. These are all very credible stories kasi nandyan na yan eh. Ngayon lang nagkakatugma-tugma. Ngayon, all of these pieces of information are forming now a bigger circle of the whole thing.
Oh, so in the hearing, Garma said there was even an assembly that was held after Duterte won, or a month after Duterte took office. So he was already declared the winner by then. There was an assembly held in May 2016, and that's when they created the task force. So what you believe is the reason Senator Bongo's name was mentioned, he was then former special assistant to the president, is eventually because it's on a national scale, he would then be overseeing the task force. Is that it?
Yes, yes. I think I saw some comments on this on SOCMED na hindi daw ka pinapaniwala yung sinasabi ni Colonel Garma kasi bakit naman daw hindi pa na nga daw presidente noon, president-elect pa lang, si Duterte ay nagplano na. Well, precisely. Kasi nga, if you also go back, hindi ba the killing started as early as right after the elections? I mean, you can research on that. That's why I had to move fast when I became a senator. Barely 13 days from my official assumption into office as senator and official assumption into office of President Duterte. I had to move fast because I saw already the trend, the pattern. They are again doing what they were doing in Davao. So it's not at all incredible. Now, they started early in planning this out. And we can even say that as early as campaign period, Mr. Duterte, as he is, na yung kanyang talagang platform is just a single, it was a single platform, and that is addressing the drug problem. So, nagplano na kaagad. So, that is very credible. That really can be validated, and we can only hope, Karen, that former Napocon Commissioner, Leonardo, would also speak up. And also, on the part of Garma,
Yeah,
yes,
no, what do you think? Can the former NAPOLCOM chief, what do you think can he reveal?
well, about the formation of a special task force and about the fact that he was, he was going directly to Senator Bongo, Senator Bongo, and arrange those that reward system, and how it was done, and how the reporting was done, and the because the bracketing of the targets and of the amounts. I think Colonel Garma said that she's not quite aware about the bracketing. Kung alin ang mga 20,000 lang and up to 1 million. Of course, we can say that the 1 million are the high value targets, and details of that can be hopefully can be revealed by Leonardo.
Oh, all right. Now, you said that Garma's testimony should be submitted to the ICC. Who will be doing that? Who can do that?
Actually, anybody can submit the affidavit of Colonel Garma. It can be the Quad Committee as a committee, but we are not sure whether at this point they intend to do that. Or it could be the lawyers of the victims. It could be anyone, because in the ICC, it's you call them the communications, information. You provide information to the ICC. So, because anyway, all of this would be subject to validation. And perhaps we can also say now that what Colonel Garma had revealed so far, I say so far because I'm looking forward to more revelations from her. That what she revealed so far is quite helpful and useful to her ongoing investigation. They needed somebody, they needed something to directly link Duterte through his guy, through his trusted aide, Senator Bongo.
Okay, so do you believe that Senator Bongo should also be investigated by the ICC? Because the ICC probe involves 5 names and his name isn't there.
Not yet. Yes.
Do you believe he should be included?
Yes, he must be included. This is a very significant revelation from former Colonel Garma. And because the link, because from all the information, any investigator would really have that conclusion that this is a state-sponsored thing, that it was induced by President Duterte. He is behind all this. That is his whole plan. The Garma testimony just validated it. And the participation of Senator Bongo is quite essential, is quite material, is quite crucial also. So he must be investigated. Exactly his role. And it would be good if there are other corroborative witnesses kay Colonel Garma. Kaya lang yung tungkol naman kay Colonel Garma, Karen, ang ano ko lang is that maybe it's understandable that she's not yet saying everything. She's not yet telling us everything she knows. And it is understandable that she is claiming lack of personal knowledge in some aspects of her testimony last Friday. Kasi bombshell na bombshell yung kanyang affidavit eh. Pero pagdating sa questioning, meron siyang mga wini-withhold. Pagdating sa questioning, yung iba, she would say, I would not know, I have no personal knowledge because it was Leonardo. So, ang hindi lang niya ma-admit ngayon is that she could be really part of that special task force also.
Posible yun. Oo,
Posible yun.
Oo.
Yeah, I believe. Kasi she's also as close to Mr. Duterte as si Leonardo. If not directly to Mr. Duterte, also through Bongo. Close to Mr. Duterte because bakit siya yung tinawagan at pinuntahan niya? That's part of her testimony.
At siya yung
Pinuntahan niya at doon niya
ng police.
siya yung correct.
Yeah.
So she must be so close. So she must have some level of
She must
participation
have- yes.
in the special task force.
Okay. And
Correct.
and not only that, from being a police colonel, she was actually even moved to the PCSO. Duterte gave her a post, I believe, was it 2 months before his retirement? But the point is he even moved her to another high level post.
Yes, within the PNP, I think they know that how close she was with Mr. Duterte, and that's why we could see that it was also difficult, if not painful for her.
Do you believe that's why
spill the
she was
beans.
crying? That's why she was crying. The whole testimony, she was crying.
And also because her fear, her security, I think. That could be one. You know, the sense of, you know, if you're close to somebody and then you spill the beans about that, about him, then there is betrayal there. Some level of personal betrayal. So it could be painful for anyone.
Yeah.
So, and also, she knows Mr. Duterte, how vindictive he could be. So, but everybody's now waiting for what is the reaction of Mr. Duterte. He seems to be silent now. Ang nagsasalita pa lang is Mr. Panelo and also Senator Bongo. And you will notice, Karen, that in the same manner that when Mr. Las Cañas and Mr. Bato came out in 2016 and revealed what they know, and then later became, nasa ICC sila. Nakuha sila ng ICC. Did we ever hear Mr. Duterte, former President Duterte, talk about it? Or at least dispute it, disown it, deny it categorically? Now, why is it so difficult for him now? There's been, few days, 2 to 3 days now from that bombshell testimony. And knowing him, he would easily react. So those are just thoughts.
Okay. All right. Now, just very quickly, before we go to a quick break, moving back to Kerwin Espinosa, he naming Senator Bato de la Rosa under oath that he ordered him, coerced him to mention you. Do you intend to file a case against Senator Bato de la Rosa, or are you going to let the ICC? Are you leaving this to the ICC?
I'm discussing that this afternoon with my lawyers. I'm inclined to file cases. File cases against Senator Bato. And here we are. There is a direct, there is a witness who directly, personally, under oath, implicated him when before there was none. So we will be discussing that in the meeting this afternoon.
Okay, let's continue our discussion with former Senator Leila de Lima, who is now gunning for a House seat next year as a party list representative for Mamamayang Liberal, or ML, the sectoral arm of the Liberal Party. So, Attorney de Lima, when you got out of detention, I asked you if you would run again, and you said no. You didn't want to return
Yes.
to politics. What made you change your mind?
Okay, medyo mahaba-habang storya, Karen, but if I may just, summarize everything. Yes, I did tell you, and I did tell everyone else when I was first released from detention, that I have no intentions of running for any position in next year's elections. I was just, I was just doing my role as the LP spokesperson. I was just doing my role also now where LP, of course, is helping out Mamamayang Liberal, ML, in its accreditation process, because it was filed only last December. And then recently accredited nga ang ML party list last July. Now, but then I was going around already, Karen, along with some LP personalities and ML personalities. We were holding some political forum with especially some colleges and universities. Basically, I was sharing my story, my narrative, what was done to me as a prisoner of conscience, also my whole experience inside the PNP custodial center, yung day-to-day life ko. And people, especially youth, students were very interested about that one. Pag kinikwento ko, kasama yung kwento ko sa mga pusa and all that. But in all of this, mga engagements, people would also approach me. Are you running for Senate? We want you to run for Senate. Why don't you go back to the Senate? But I would always say, hindi pa ko ata ako prepared, hindi pa ako handa. Alam niyo na, halos 7 taon din naman ako nawala sa outside world. But some of my colleagues in the LP and in the ML were telling me, Leila, why don't you do that? Let's because ML is the multi-sectoral party of party list of LP. Now, our whole tack is that to how to bring closer to the people our advocacies. And that is definitely through these various sectors, marginalized sectors. Kasi dyan nag-uumpisa dapat eh. You know, the sovereignty comes from the people, resides in the people. And these are marginalized sectors. These are sectors that need strong voices, courageous voices. And they were also saying, on the pragmatic side of things, that since it's a new it's a new party list, just accredited last July, we need to start strong. Yeah. So we need strong personalities also, whose advocacies are definitely at par with or aligned with the aspirations and the realities affecting the marginalized sectors. And ako, am known to be human rights advocates for democracy, and especially social justice also. Kasi sa Senate, since i-announce na ako noon as Senate Committee, chairperson of the Senate Committee on Justice and Human Rights, I was not able to pursue yung mga pet bills ko on human rights. There were quite a number of them. But I remain to be the chairperson of the Committee on Social Justice, Welfare, and Rural Development. And if you will remember, I was the main author of the 4-Piece Law and the Magna Carta of the Poor. Now, the marginalized sectors that we represent, yes, they have distinct attributes, they have distinct aspirations affecting their respective sectors, but there is one value, that core value that encompasses, that binds all of the sectors, and that is social justice. Yeah. So sabi ko, maganda yan na mas mapapalapit tayo sa mga sectors, especially so that LP, as part of its demonization, especially from the past administration, ay siniraan talaga. Mga elitista yan, walang pakialam yan o mga walang alam yan. We want to prove to the people that our advocacies, our values, our principles as Liberal Party are very much attuned to their day-to-day life. We know na yung mga pangunahing ngayon, aspirasyon ng mga tao ay tungkol sa sikmura. Diba? Because of high inflation, poverty, low wages. But, ang naman namin is that, kami, Liberal Party has always been standing for good governance and anti-corruption. Now, dapat maintindihan ng mga tao. That's one reason why we're doing this, a party list, para mas lalo kaming nakikiusap sa kanila. Ay hindi maiiwalay yung good governance sa mga pang-araw-araw na problema yan. Kasi kung may good governance, mga anti-corruption advocates na nandyan sa Kongreso, then mas madali na matugunan yung mga aspirasyon nila, yung mga problema nila. So that is, we just want to be closer to the sectors, to the communities.
Okay, now, saan kukunin ng mamamayang liberal ang boto ninyo? Alam natin that when it comes to party list groups, for the first nominee to sit, maybe we talked about it roughly, okay, some have said 250,000, let's put it to 250 to 400,000 votes. Some provinces kasi they deliver. Some provinces deliver for specific party lists. For example, Bicol, right? The party lists in Bicol, you have Bicol, the region even delivering. Saan po kukunin ng mamamayang liberal ang mga boto ninyo?
Okay, right now we are actually mapping out. The ML team, the campaign team, is mapping out those areas, and also the sectoral. Kasi dalawa yan, geographical and sectoral. Since we are, as I said, we are multi-sectoral, we're going to identify specific sectors sa tingin namin madadala kami. We can expect that they will work for us, that they will work for our electoral victory. So, but I don't think we can expect all of those sectors because some other party lists are representing those other sectors. Now, sa geographical areas naman, that's part of our mapping. We can look at the LP constituency as the multi-sectoral arm of LP. We will depend on our local candidates, yung LP, because we have our candidates now in the LP, and needless to state, they are expected also to carry ML, being the sectoral arm of the LP. So we are in that process, and we are looking forward na magkakausap-usap ng mga grupo, because we can always say that there's some competition there. We are looking at the same ocean of votes, of vote base. Yung lalo na yung mga kindred, yung Akbayan, yung Magdalo, and several other groups. So baka mag-agawan kami. So I think it's just a matter of campaign strategy, the right campaign strategy. Saang grupo, saang lugar tututok this particular party list. So it can always
just very quickly, you are not anymore, you are no longer, kasi in the beginning, you were speaking in behalf of the Liberal Party, remember? And I thought that you would somehow serve as the spokesperson or the campaign manager. You have some personalities running for the Senate. Does that mean you are doing this full time? Eto na, this is your concentration.
ML. I'm focused on ML. I'm not going to serve anymore at the moment as LP spokesperson, because I'm concentrated on ML, because I happen to be a lead nominee of the ML. We need to spread the word about ML. Di pa siya masyadong kilala, yung ML, kasi bago pa nga. So we have to catch up in that regard, as increasing awareness about ML, how genuine a party list it is, that's really representing various sectors. We have not been put up by any political dynasty. There are no business financial interests behind us, but strictly sectoral.
Okay.
Yes.
I think on that note, the people watching right now, mahirap kumuha ng boto sa party list, ma'am, diba? Alam natin yun, isa lang ang binoboto ng tao. Hindi personalidad, kundi yung party list mismo.
Yes.
Hindi tutulad ng senador na 12 ang i-check nila, eto isa lang. Bakit dapat nila iboto ang mamamayang liberal where you are the first nominee?
Okay, I'm not gonna say first that about vote, because it's not yet campaign period. Ang appeal po namin ngayon, my appeal especially, is that no more about our party list, about ML party list. It stands for Mamamayang Liberal, and I hope they can see that aside from it being a genuine party list, and yung aming byline so far is tapat sa Pilipino, you can see from the listing of the lead nominees, we are the lead nominees are myself, former Congressman Ted Davila, and former Congressman Erin Tanyada. You can see from our own track record, from our reputation also, that the people can expect stronger and courageous voices to represent them. Because when you sit either in either the Senate or in the House of Representatives, and even if you're supposed to be the official representative of a particular party list, attending to their needs, to their the pieces of legislation that can be sponsored in their behalf, you are actually also working for the national interest. Kasi sa Kongreso nagsisimula karamihan ng batas. So you would have stronger voice there, more courageous voice, not just to represent the sectors, but also to engage in various discourses in Congress.
All right. Well, good luck to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining me today. We hope to have you back on Head Start as the campaign season brews up. Thank you so much, former Senator Leila de Lima. Thank you, ma'am.